Evan Mobley, Logan, had a heroic moment in this game-winning block for the Cavs. So they hold on without Jared Allen in this game. They're up 3-2 after two horrible games in Orlando. And despite Paolo going crazy in this one, what do you take away from this win for Cleveland?
I still believe Cleveland's advantage in perimeter creators gives them such an easier route every single game to offensive creation. Like, I know Mitchell and Garland have their games where they're liabilities defensively and they're not creating anything offensively, but if either of these guys get hot for stretches, they can just carry and they can carry an offense the way nobody for Orlando can. And I know Paolo balls out in this game, and I'm going to get into that. Like, I liked a lot of what I saw from Paolo. It wasn't perfect, but Paolo played a really good game. But just Mitchell's consistent downhill pressure, especially in this one, he shoots 10 free throws in the second half, gives you an easy avenue for offense late when stuff is stagnant and you're not hitting jump shots. And, that's Cleveland's tendency. Darius Garland has a good stretch in this one. I believe he had 17 first half points in the second half, gets to the bucket a few crucial times, is playmaking pretty well. Like, they're just the two best guards in this series. And if you can get a couple of good stretches from those guys a game, it should be enough to beat Orlando. Like, Orlando is just going to struggle and scratch and claw for all of their buckets, man. Nothing's easy. Like, their guards are just nowhere close to on the level of these two guys. So while Mitchell has a pretty poor shooting performance, while, Garland, maybe his numbers don't pop off the stat sheet at you, like, they're still better. And they set up guys for a lot of easy shots. Mobley is in the right position on a few of those drives, finishes off some easy dunks for them. And that's going to be enough to beat Orlando, man. Like, it is. And I thought that Orlando could steal this one a little bit. I thought their offense got a little stale towards the end. It was a lot of just Paolo settling for jumpers. But, I mean, that was working, dude. And you're going to trust the hot hand when he's had a game like that. But I was impressed, especially it's so weird with Cleveland, man. When they put the shooters out there, like, dude, Morris is banging threes in this one. Morris is giving you impactful bench minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so weird, man, is sometimes they can try out these weird, like, Strus hit some big shots in this one. It's so strange, man. Like, I think you got to ride the hot hands if you're Cleveland too, dude. Whoever's hitting threes, and they always need a floor spacer or somebody out there. So one thing that was evident about this one too, dude, is no Jared Allen, but you still got two more shooters out there. It's a little more spaced out. I still wonder about their fit long-term and stuff like that. None of those concerns have gone anywhere, but I still believe Cleveland has a really drastic offensive creation advantage, and that's going to win out, man. I want more consistent Garland, and I want more consistent Mitchell, but these two guys are so far clearly the best offensive players in this series.
Well, they're not clearly the two best. I mean, Paolo is playing about 18 times better than Darius Garland, if I had to put a number on it. Garland had a good quarter, bro. He had a 17-point quarter. I was exhilarated. Finally, we saw Darius Garland. He was knocking down his pull-up jumpers, which honestly hasn't really been the problem. It's been Garland is just inconsistent even throughout this game. He's been so bad throughout this series. I don't want to make it out to be like, oh, Darius Garland has been so good, and Donovan Mitchell hasn't been good in this series. Like, they both had moments. It's been a rock fight, ugly series, but ultimately I thought the offensive skill advantage would be more pronounced. I thought Donovan Mitchell would be the best dude out there by the most, and he's just had some rough moments, and he's dealing with the knee thing, so I don't really blame him as much as I do Garland for just being outright not very good. But the Cav who I think deserves the most props, the Cav who ultimately was the most important, in my opinion. What are they saying in the chat that's got you jiggling so much? Yeah, Darius Garland. Jiggling instead of giggling?
Nerd Sesh is scripted, man. That got me, bro.
Yeah, sadly true. Mobley really came through in this one on the defensive side, dude. Now, there was still some rough offensive moments, some cringeworthy offensive moments almost, some rough missed finishes. He gets stripped a couple times. But in the last couple minutes, he finishes around the rim, which is really all you can ask of him at this point without Jared Allen out there. They just need somebody on the interior who they can dump the ball off to, and he'll go up there and finish. And my favorite thing was he decisively dunked the basketball. He didn't leave it up to his suspect touch. But that one came off of a Max Strus, Marcus Morris pick and roll. And this was in the last 90 seconds of the game. And that's where you're just like, Cleveland, what the hell is going on offensively? Like, they are such a weird team, dude. Garland and Mitchell don't touch the ball. Turns into Strus, Marcus Morris pick and roll with Mobley in the dunker spot. But really, he stands out on the defensive end, of course. And the game-saving block on Franz was incredible. The recovery, it's that agility to me, the ability to close gaps like that, and the ability to stick with these big wings in space on drives that's so special because he also took on the Paolo matchup in the last couple minutes. And Paolo just had such a size advantage over the primary defenders on him throughout this game. And we've seen the wings hold up against him in stretches, but we've also seen Cleveland able to put Mobley on him in stretches and Allen on him in stretches. And for the most part in this game, that wasn't the case because you needed Mobley holding things down as the 5 as your lone real interior defender. But he took on Paolo and he forced him into 3 tough shots because it's just really tough to score against Evan Mobley's length when he can also move so well in space. And that switchability is always going to make him one of the best defenders on the planet. That ability to take on wing matchups and legitimately be the best option, but then also to be this great rim protector, phenomenal. He has 4 stocks in this game and he held down the glass. So Evan Mobley, again, it wasn't the prettiest game. It's not ever going to be from him offensively, but just demonstrating that defensive value, stepping up when they desperately needed him as like the lone actual big. I mean, you get Tristan Thompson minutes in this game, dude. It was getting dark out there for the Cavs, and Mobley came through and they gutted out this win. Every game in this series is going to be ugly, and for the most part, it's going to be tough. And whenever you can escape with a win, when you're struggling offensively in the playoffs, that's an impressive thing to achieve. And Mobley was really important to Cleveland doing that.
He was. There were a lot of possessions late where Paolo's going at him, and I thought Paolo played a really awesome game, especially when nobody else in Orlando some games feels like they can hit a shot. The Orlando Magic outside of Paolo Banchero in this game, Carson, they shoot 5 of 24 from behind the arc. Shout out, dude. Orlando, man. Like, it's really, really ugly sometimes. And that's where, I can't really take issue with Paolo going to ISO heavy down the stretch. Like, he's got the hot hand. None of your other guys are shooting shots. Like, just put up every look. And that's what was really impressive is like the defense knows exactly what Paolo's going to do. And sometimes it's, you can't stop me. 39 points, 8 boards, 4 assists on 14 of 24 shooting, 4 of 7 from deep. He gets to the line 8 times, knocked down 7 shots. I was mentioning this early before Carson rejoined us. We had Logan Sesh for a little bit. I'll get back into it. He's got a clutch turnaround midi in this one, man. He's got another one on Mobley where he drives him into him, baits him into leaping, draws those free throws, bangs both of them. He hits another nice pull-up J on Mitchell. That's a possession where I'm like, damn, man, he should be able to overpower Donovan for an easy look at the basket, but he also knows I got great touch and I can just shoot over him, and he just bangs that shot. There were some other possessions that frustrated me about Paolo down the stretch, but again, nobody else was cooking, so I'm not going to get on him too much.
Yeah.
Right after that turnaround midi, he airballs the 3, and then he fails to close out on Morris, leads to an easy 3 for them. There's another one where he gets downhill, forces a ball on the baseline, turnover to Max Strus. There's a nice catch and shoot 3 off a pick and pop with Franzo, which I liked. There's another possession where he over dribbles a little bit. He doesn't create anything on Mobley. Mobley walls him up. And then Franz, of course, has to take a really deep 3. And then he misses an off the dribble 3 early in the shot clock. But I think Banchero can lean on other guys when he's got the personnel. Like, it was just hellish out there tonight. Franz wasn't pulling his weight. Franz goes 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 6 from deep, gives you 14 points. And some of the shot making, man, like Gary Harris isn't hitting anything. Suggsy goes 0 of 5 from deep. Fultz can't space the floor. Cole Anthony has been atrocious in this series. Paolo needs some offensive help, man. He needs some offensive help, especially like a guard that can just reliably make a shot, man, or somebody that he can run a pick and roll with that isn't Franz, that is a legitimate threat out of the pick and roll. So that's where I was really impressed with him, man, is Paolo has this skill set, and that's why I'm so confident in him as a star too. He wants the ball in these big moments too, dude. Like, he's not afraid to take these tough shots. And for the most part, he's really good at them. Like, I think Paolo is a special shooter of the basketball. The percentages may not reflect it, but I think he's a really good shooter.
He's had a really good series. He's had an exceptionally good series.
Well, I just mean that the caliber and the difficulty of the shots that Paolo take factor so much into his percentages on the whole. Like, I think that if he was taking higher quality looks, like, his numbers would just be way higher. It's mostly due to the shot diet. I think Paolo's awesome. I think Paolo is a future star in this league. He's already almost there. Like, I think he is a face of this league to come. And I think he's going to get so much better. Like, even seeing a guy this young, this fresh into his career, doing this in a big stage in the fourth quarter was super impressive. I mean, he even hits that three at the buzzer too. I know it's meaningless because you're going to lose, but still, like, if there was time on the clock, you know, it cuts it to one. Paolo's awesome, man. He needs some freaking help, dude. Can we get this guy some competent offensive basketball players? Please, Orlando, please.
No. Unfortunately, the answer to that is no. Franz obviously had one awesome game. Game 4, he was so great. But outside of that, he's been underwhelming. I've been impressed by Paolo, though, because this was obviously going to be a huge test for him going up against a team with this combination of excellent defenders built to challenge him. Strong, big wings, two versatile bigs who can both handle him as a primary matchup, but then also are going to be great in help, and they're going to force you to try to beat them with playmaking and have your spot up shooters knock down shots. And Paolo has had to resort to a lot of tough shot making because this is a tough matchup. But he's come through, dude. Like, this has been impressive to me. He's averaging 25, 7, and 4.5 on 56% true shooting. Of course, that's not like good scoring efficiency, but in the context of this series, it's actually slightly better than his regular season efficiency. And to do that with all of the offensive struggles around him against this defense, just in the playoffs period, in your first playoff run, like, I'm impressed by that. And yes, it's been inconsistent and there's been rough showings and the turnovers have been a problem. He's averaging almost 5 a game, but to have two performances like he did in games 3 and 5 alone against this defense, like, it's just ridiculous, bro. I mean, the turnarounds, the step backs, the off balance, tough shot making, so impressive. He's confidently stepping into threes in this game, both pull-ups and off the catch, which is so important. Like, as we get the best version of Paolo, I think it's going to be less tough stuff out of the mid-range, and it's going to be more about good looks from deep, and it's going to be maximizing those looks around the rim. And he'll always have some of that in-between game, which is great, but he's very, very reliant on it right now. But I'm not going to say anything critical about Paolo. Yeah, he missed some tough shots down the late. Him making a bunch of tough shots was also the only reason that Orlando had a chance in this game. So it's very impressive to me for his first playoff run. Yes, he still has to refine his decision-making and get easier shots for himself down the line and become a more efficient offensive hub, but he's played better than I expected him to in this run. He's overachieved expectations. And ultimately, like, a lot of this series has just come down to whose supporting cast is capable offensively, who can make a spot-up jumper. And Orlando was off to like one of the worst shooting series that we've seen through the first couple games. And then games 3 and 4, right, you get Suggs and Isaac, like the supporting cast starts knocking down shots. And in this game, they can't. And in this game, the Cavs shoot well enough. Max Strus makes some big shots. Like, that's the difference in these rock fights. So I give props to Paolo for keeping his team in this game. They are obviously very limited offensively. And I do also want to give props to Cleveland just for responding. It was so funny. JB Bickerstaff said after last game that they had spent the last couple of days, quote, identifying things. That's what he said. Profound, promising stuff. But I guess they identified some things. They took better care of the ball in this game, and they didn't have like a disastrous stretch like they did in both games 3 and 4, where they just let up these devastating runs. And it's like, there's no coming back from that, especially game 4. They kept their heads screwed on. They battled on the glass. They didn't give you a bunch of easy buckets in transition. And when they're able to check those boxes, they should win because they are the more talented team. But doing without Allen was impressive because Allen has been their second best player pretty clearly in this series. And Mobley stepped up to the challenge in this one.